when I started getting foster dogs is when I started to feel like a little hypocritical because I was getting these dogs that were on death row and then like not caring about the food that I ate, being an animal as well.
Hi guys, welcome back to The Vegan View. So today, we haven't done one of these in a while. We did why we're not vegetarians, we did why we don't eat fish, and we're going to be discussing a little bit about this Miley Cyrus quote, "You love pets, not animals."
It's a really triggering quote. Like when people hear it, they're either like, yeah, totally, or they're really offended. Because I think most people would say that they love animals, or at the very least, they care about animal welfare. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard, especially because a lot of people have pets and they love their pets so much that they're like, I love animals, but then you can sit down to eat meat and there's like a very big disconnect between that. Yeah. So it's a very, very controversial quote, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I posted a photo a while ago, a really long time ago, when she first said this with the quote, "You love pets, not animals." And people were really upset. And I didn't realize like how big of a statement that is. Because there's so many people who go around, they're like, I'm the biggest animal lover, but their actions don't really line up with their beliefs. And I know I've been there totally. I'm sure you guys have too.
I feel like I relate so hard to that statement because I really always thought I was an animal lover before going vegan, and I never thought that eating meat really like meant that I wasn't. And I feel like I always kind of secretly deep down felt a little weird, like I had such a disassociation from a burger being a cow that whenever someone would like moo or like make a comment about it being a cow, it would make me really uncomfortable, but I would still eat it because it was just such a norm, like just it's a societal norm, so it just never felt wrong. When I started getting foster dogs was when I started to feel like a little hypocritical because I was getting these dogs that were on death row and then like not caring about the food that I ate, being an animal as well, like being in the same situation.
But I was like, I really thought that there was a difference between certain animals that you eat and certain animals that were pets, and I thought, it sounds so weird to say now, but I genuinely thought that it was like very natural, that's how
they were supposed to be.
How it was supposed to be. There's like the natural order of life and the food chain and whatever, and I never felt like great about it. Same thing, like if someone would like talk about a pig or a lamb or a cow, you know, you don't want to think about that when you're eating a burger. Right. But at the same time, I remember like being a kid and seeing the cows in the fields and being like, oh, that's where milk comes from, that's where cheese comes from, and just assuming that was just what their purpose was, you know, and just because you just don't think about it, I think, a lot of the time. So it's not a disconnection, I don't think, for a lot of people. I don't think the disconnection is apathy or like malice of any kind. I think it's just like we're conditioned, it's culture, and it's just really is an afterthought, I think.
Well, how many commercials do we see that's like these cows like frolicking in the fields, these
There's
chickens
literally
like
cartoon cows.
Yeah, and they're like BFFs and they're having a great jolly time, and you're like, oh, this is what I'm eating. Like it's fine. And I know, but it wasn't like as horrific as slaughterhouse footage, and I think we don't see that. We don't normally see that. There's no animal who is like traipsing over the slaughterhouse like, this is my final destiny. I'm like excited to die. Living things don't want to die. Animals aren't excited to become a part of our food.
But you see it so much in the media and with your family and friends and your friends' families that it's normal to eat certain animals and not eat other animals. And I feel like I didn't even really notice how many times we're exposed to that as being normal until I went vegan, and then I would watch like children's shows or regular TV shows. The amount of times that something like eating an animal is mentioned as such a normal thing is insane, and I feel like you only really realize that once you start to feel like that's not normal anymore. So it makes sense that people feel this way. I mean,
because we don't know any better so many times. It's like you couldn't even help yourself. Right. It's not even intentional. It's like very swept under the rug or just like there in the background.
And also the animals that are typically food, like pigs and like cows and lambs and stuff, chickens, they are generally not pets that people have in their homes. So for example, if someone ate a dog, right? Everyone would be mad. Everyone would think that was disgusting. It's illegal to hurt animals, right? Like to abuse a dog, for example. You can literally go to jail for that.
There's some cultures that do. And we get so upset at them, but that's their culture.
But in this country, there are people who literally go to jail for hurting a dog, and yet we eat animals. So it's like, I think that's because we all know dogs and cats in such a personal way. We see their personalities every single day. And you really know, like, this dog, like, I grew up with, we had so many dogs growing up. So it's like, I know that Sky's personality is totally different than, you know, Teddy's personality. They're super, super different. And the same is true with all animals as it is with all people. But because you don't
Just
have...
Like Pauline is sitting here and Archie was flopped on the table.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They're all so different.
And even Pauline and Zoe look very similar, but they have completely different personalities. Yeah. But that is so obvious once you think of it that way. But then we don't realize that all animals are like that, right? So like all the cows that you eat, all the bacon that you eat, they all have personalities. They all have preferences and emotions, and they all want to be together. They want to be safe. They want all the things that the pets in our homes want. It's just that we don't see that. So we just assume that it's like, again, it's just
it's this cognitive dissonance. Like, you know in your mind that this is an animal you're eating, but it's so built up and blocked off by just like culture and people telling you things and the
health.
media.
You think you need it to be healthy.
And people are just telling you these things, and you have to remember, like, culture is very subjective. Just because something is part of someone's culture doesn't make it right. And like, also, we eat tons of beef in the US, and in India, it's illegal to sell and cook beef, and cows are very sacred. They hold a very special place in Indian culture, but then we're eating cows, and then we're shaming people in the Yulin festival for eating dogs. And you have to realize, like, either way, we're killing beings that don't want to die.
Yeah. I know, that drives me nuts. Like, I never want to, like, turn my nose down at anybody who's passionate about a good cause. So I totally appreciate when people are sharing things like the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, and that they are super active in trying to stop it and things like that. But then at the same time, I'm also like, if that is upsetting you, but you're still eating meat, you really have to ask yourself some questions, because they chose these animals and we chose these animals to eat, and it's the same thing.
I know.
So if you're upset about people eating dogs, why are you not upset about the pigs that
Do you think it is that simple, though, that it's just that people... Do you think that people have this idea that dogs are special and different? Like, is that why people get so upset?
Yeah.
I think, for me, I used to get very upset because I'm from Texas. It's a part of my culture. I like steak. I like brisket. Used to like it. Don't eat anymore, obviously. Hello, welcome to the Vegan View. And I was very proud of that. It was very much a part of my identity. And then I'm also like a woman. I identify as a woman. And then there's a lot of things that society is telling me as a woman I should be like. And it wasn't until I started examining, hey, like, is this actually what I like? Is this actually who I am to my core? Do I really want to make myself smaller? Do I really want to hurt animals to eat them? Is there another way to be? Is there another way to live? And started examining, like, how much of my personality is born within me and how much has been told to me, that it really shifted, like, my perspective.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I'm reading An Untethered Soul right now, and
I love that book.
It's so good. And it talks about the ego and the superego, and and there's 3 different ones. And the ego is you and the judgments that you have, but then the superego is societal norms that have been that you've sort of absorbed, and you judge yourself and others based on the norms of society. And I think it's so interesting when you're able to step back and observe the separation and realize, like, is this coming from me or is this coming from a societal pressure? And then evaluating from that. I think just having that self-awareness is really, really important too.
I think whenever you have a very strong feeling, like you were saying, there's different influences that make you reactive. And I think there's some things like past traumas that you've lived through, and you have certain feelings that you tell yourself that are not necessarily true. And then there's also, like, outside influences like culture, like society, that's telling you to do certain things. And, like, not just veganism, I think it's really important to examine that, to be more effective, to be kinder to yourself as well as to other beings and everyone around you. And that's going to make you a very effective advocate. It's going to make you way more connected to the cause. It's just like when we talk about, like, if you're feeling like, why am I doing this? Like, go watch the things, like, go watch the slaughterhouse videos, go watch documentaries, inform yourself, but also, like, do that self-work and wonder, why am I feeling like going back? Why is my comfort? She's really going to town.
She is giving herself a little manicure.
Little mani-pedi. But yeah, and examine, just like Pauline is doing, examine how you're feeling.
To go back to what you were saying, though, about, like, do you think people just think dogs are more special? I 100% think that's it. Especially, like, you grew up with multiple dogs, but I know a lot of people that, like, had one family dog their whole life.
Yeah.
And maybe didn't get a dog as an adult, or maybe they did, but they think my dog's the best.
Oh,
my dog
yes.
has the best personality.
I didn't even think of it
my
like
dog
that.
is the smartest.
This
No
breed
dog
is the
this
best.
breed is the best. This breed is so smart, because I thought that way 100%.
Interesting. I
Well,
hadn't
how
thought
could
of that.
you not help it, because that's all you know?
Yeah,
That's so
it's like,
interesting.
and you have such a close, you literally have a relationship with that creature. So of course you're gonna love them and think that they're special.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like for a long time too, it's like I always loved dogs and I always loved animals, but other people's dogs weren't as good as my dogs. My dogs were always the best.
Yeah.
Now that's changed, because I've gotten to know so many other dogs through fostering and stuff, that I'm like, oh, each one has their little quirks, each one has like a little personality. But I think a lot of people don't get exposed to that, and so they just think my dog is special.
Yes.
And dogs in general are special, because dogs in general are better than pigs.
Man's best friend.
Yeah.
More conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. But like you said,
Very
if they
familiar
would,
and tangible.
yeah, if they would spend like a month with a pig, it was just them and the pig, they would be best friends with that pig, like 100%. Because we're all just creatures that are looking for love. Even pigs and cows and chickens, like they just want to be loved
Yeah.
and live life.
And you fostering is like a very selfless act. Like you go in there and your intention is to help these dogs.
I
Like
mean, it's a little selfish
I
because I
mean,
get the love from
they're
them,
so pretty perfect. But in the end, you give them away. And that's like, it's an incredibly selfless thing for you to do. And you're stepping outside of yourself, because you're getting that experience outside of yourself, outside of your personal like love and acceptance of your own dog. You're broadening your perspective of life. And I think through service and through charity and through making sure parts of your life are to something, it can expand your whole worldview and your empathy. Now when I look into a dog's eyes and I look into the pigs and slaughterhouses, like I see Sprout, like I see
Yeah.
my family dogs growing up.
Cruelty Free with Me went to
Cruelty Free
a
with Me.
slaughterhouse recently, and it was freaking brutal. Like,
But
it
you
was
can
terrible.
see in their eyes.
Yeah. And like when there was this awful part where the pig was initially afraid of her, because it just had learned, to be a little bit afraid of humans. And then she started just like petting him like he was a dog, him or her. And the pig really acted like a dog would. Like, when a dog gets like really excited for affection and like
Yeah.
snuggles
And
and
wags
like
their tail.
Yes, and was like so desperate for more of that affection she was giving him or her. And it was like, it was really, really, really hard. I think it was interesting what we were talking about before we were filming, which is that there are people who are vegan who are not quote unquote animal lovers.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing to bring up too, because especially since this is the vegan view, like there's always going to be so many different views and reasons to go vegan and what inspires you to go vegan. And I think we would all agree, whatever inspires you to go and stay vegan, cool, stick with that. You don't have to fit into every category. But I do think it's really interesting how being vegan over time like really does expand. It really does expand. Your reasons for going vegan really expand into so many different ways. I went vegan for health. I went vegan because I wanted to look like Bonnie Rebecca. Like, period. That wasn't a right reason.
But you're
Right.
still aware of every aspect of it.
But that happened slowly. It happened because of the attractivism that she was practicing, and and the food that looked so good, and the way that she talked about feeling. I wanted to feel that way, and then over time, I slowly learned. And I even said on my channel, I have a why I went vegan. I have like a 1-year update, and then I have a why I'm still vegan video. And I think it's the first video where I was like, I wasn't actually an animal lover. I loved my pets that we had. I loved the dogs.
Horses.
Like we had horses. I loved the horses. And I always cared about animals, but I wasn't that one that was like, oh my gosh, I have to pet every animal, or I wish I had a house full of animals. I wanted to have a dog when I grew up and had a family, but so I didn't hate animals. I just wasn't like the biggest animal person. You know what I mean?
But
and
you don't
yet
have
still, I think now the animals are one of the biggest reasons that I've stayed vegan.
I always was like, I'm the biggest animal lover, but I was also from Texas. I had a really southern upbringing, and very much like a part of my relationship with farm animals was like, I love them, they're super cute, I love to pet them, I want to hang out with them, but it's also their job to be my food. But like, where did I get that from? It's just from like the packages and the commercials and like what you're told. And it wasn't until I really thought about, I don't remember what it was even, it might have been Cowspiracy or something, but it just hit me one day that cows have to get pregnant to make milk and cheese.
I know, I
and
had
yogurt.
that realization too.
And I am not near my mom at all. Like you're also, like and I'm very close to my mom. Our family's very close, and I'm very thankful for that and lucky, but to have that relationship and know how far away I am from her, and to be like, I am causing other animals to be separated from their mothers, to be separated from their child. That was when I was like, I'm done with dairy. Before I even went vegan, I was like, that's weird. I can't be a part of that. I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you went vegan and you're like, I don't really care, I'm not like an animal lover, I think that's okay. But we talked about it, like there's just a respect element of like, yeah, maybe I don't want to hang out with animals. Maybe I don't want to go to a farm and pet them. Maybe I don't want to have 20 dogs running around my house. But like understanding that this is a living creature that wants to live its life, and I don't want to cause harm to it. So supporting all elements of vegan activism, even if it's not why you went vegan, is important. You can't hate on other vegans for being
the wrong kind.
Yeah. Oh, you just love animals. That's the only reason. You don't care about the other things. Everybody's on their own journey. We have to support all elements.
Exactly. You have to be expanding. Like, I know so many people go vegan and they're like, it didn't work for me. I didn't lose weight. It was for health reasons. But I'm like, but did you think about any
all
of the other aspects?
Reasons? Like, that's what's always so confusing to me when people go back on veganism. I went vegan for ethical reasons. I experienced health benefits because of it. And then I realized how important it is for our environment to be vegan. And that is like one of the things that like, it was the last thing check off the box that I was like, all right, done, staying vegan. But I'll never forget that, especially the ethical. I cannot ever look at a piece of meat as food ever again. That's a dead animal. I don't want it in my body. I don't want it in my mouth. I don't want it anywhere near me. But I can stay vegan because, not just because of that, but because of the other reasons as well.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to live on this earth, and I want it to be, I want it to be beautiful, and I don't want my kids to like live in a, like, I watch some of these movies and I'm like, we're like actually kind of headed this direction.
Yeah, but it's so interesting too, because it's like you wouldn't, just like how you wouldn't, if you knew that like knocking over this thing of water would spill water everywhere, it's like, yeah, maybe it's not immediately going to be a problem, but like it's so unnecessary. You know what I mean? To like make a mess and then have all that happen. And I feel like that's how a lot of my feeling when I first started to realize about veganism, it was like, oh, there's so much I can do that doesn't even affect me. Like, it's not hard for me not to knock over this water. So like, why am I just doing it multiple times a day and not caring that it's making a huge mess over there? You know what I mean? Yeah. I just felt like at first I was thinking, oh, this is so great. It's like a win-win-win. It's good for me. It's better for the animals, better for the planet. And then it really, I mean, I'm so glad that we all did our Why I'm Still Vegan videos, because I feel like that's where we really get to explain. But I think so much of it is about the animals for us. And it's just like, it's kind of mind-boggling, that journey that you go on.
I mean, we all started from different places. Like, I was really sick, and that's why I went vegan. It wasn't until I started looking at other people and other people's information and really informing myself and like really being able to question, like, is this really the right thing? Then I realized, oh, it's not just because it's really doing my health good things. I was also like, oh my gosh, we could feed the world if we stopped eating meat.
Seriously.
That's nuts. Like, I'm literally, every time I'm buying an animal product, I'm taking food out of people's mouths.
Yeah.
And that drove me crazy. And then eventually, like, it was just because I like really love people. I love human beings. Everything was spinning, and I was like, wait, they're alive too. They're sentient. And then I was like, wait, what is society telling me? And then I was just like, wait, there's so many social justice issues that are just stemming from we are other.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to, is like, it is a social justice issue. And if you consider yourself a feminist, if you consider yourself somebody who believes in equal rights, then you really have to ask yourself, if you are not vegan, why you love your dog and you love pets, but you still are eating animals. That was like something that was my journey to veganism, which if you want to watch my Why I'm Still Vegan video, I talked about
link all of them.
Yeah. To that, when I had my realization about that, I felt super hypocritical. And that was like where it was like, I was like, wow, I do love pets, not animals. And I think it's just about having that realization and just about making those changes, however that process looks for you. Like, maybe just starting out with Meatless Mondays and like working your way up.
I think it's also important to acknowledge that not every, like, we've been vegan for quite a while. It's pretty much our job to like know about these things, to research. We're always doing research together. We're sending each other articles. We're posting it online. We're posting it on our stores. It's like we're tirelessly involved in this, and it's not just because it's like what we're supposed to do. I think it's something we're really passionate about, like making the world a better place in general. Our veganism hasn't just stopped to the animals. It's really, each of us is investing more into like being more eco-friendly, involving like intersectionality in our activism. We're really putting in the work, and I think although that's great and all, you have to realize that other people are on this journey and they can't catch up with you right away. And I have actually a quote from CPG, Colleen Patrick-Rucho,
Queen.
I'll link the podcast, it's from below. But she says, "It is neither realistic nor fair to expect everyone to see through the same lens as we do at the moment we expect them to." I think that just is the best way to encapsulate, like, we're all advocates and we can use our voice in a way, or we can use our voice, we can use our fashion, we can use our food, we can use our lifestyle to show people how easy it is, how exciting it is, how good it feels to live more compassionately. But if we come from a place of like judgment,
right?
And I think that's why people kind of get mad at you love pets, not animals.
Yeah,
because it is a little.
It sounds like a little attacking.
It sounds like you, not me.
Yeah, and I think like we don't recommend going and saying that to people in your life. Our approach is to just live your life. So
Exactly.
like we use all of our platforms to talk about veganism. We talk about it on our social media channels and things like that, but we're not going around in our real life being like,
you're doing
hey,
it wrong.
You have a dog, but you eat meat, so like you're a hypocrite. No.
Judgment and like being smug is kind of violent in a way. It is really like pushing people away in a way that's kind of like conniving and thoughtful, but not in a good way. And I think why we started the Vegan Deal is because we think that compassion for everyone is the most effective way of making change.
Yeah. Even though we're talking about this sort of like triggering quote and we think there's so much value in it, it's a really great mirror to hold up and to sort of as an individual look at and say, does this apply to me, and do that work on yourself. I think it's really important to not use that passion against other people, but to try to like let it motivate you and let that fire burn inside of you as passion, but to let it come out as compassion, because because what's your goal? Your goal is to help the animals and to make a bigger difference. If you really want the numbers, it's not about you, it's not about ego. If you really want the numbers of people who are vegan to grow, you have to do it in a smart way. You have to have strategy, and the strategy can't be you love pets, not animals, you're bad, I'm right, you're wrong. The Matilda scary teacher, that's what I always think of. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm big, you're small. Oh my God, okay, like that's just not good.
It's just judgy,
it's just gross. Like you're not morally superior. Sorry. I'm not any morally superior than necessarily someone who's not vegan. I just am choosing to live my life in a way that aligns with what I feel is my ethics and what makes me feel good and happy. That's just how I want to live my life. But there are people who aren't vegan who are doing some amazing things for humans and doing awesome work for charities. That doesn't mean that I'm better than them or they're better than me. It just means that we're just trying to we're on different journeys and we're just trying to live our best lives. I hate this morally superior veganism crap that is going on. That's a whole other episode.
No, I think it ties in well because like I remember when I posted that with the caption, I like immediately took it down.
Yeah.
I saw the reaction. I was like, this isn't effective. This isn't who I am, and this isn't nice. Like, why am I trying to be like these angry people and make people feel alienated? When I started my YouTube channel, I wanted people to feel like welcomed and supported, and like if you're not vegan, like cool, like come learn how to make dal, you know? Like in school, you don't want to grow up in an environment where you're like, you're wrong, do it right. You're gonna be like, fuck it, I don't want to like do anything.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, veganism has taught me that there literally is not an us versus them. It's not humans versus animals. It's not humans versus other animals. It's not humans versus the planet, and like who cares about the planet? Who cares about the animals? Who cares about other people? It's like, oh wait, we're all like one, and we all have to, it sounds so cheesy, but we all have to be kind to each other and be compassionate, and just everyone has to try to do their best. And I think veganism really helps you connect those dots and see the unity in everything and want to cultivate more of that.
Yeah, it's like we all want to get better at a pace that is comfortable and sustainable for you, and like pushing people to go faster is just not, it's not sustainable and it doesn't feel good. And you want people to feel good in their life because they're going to do more good and spread more good in the world. And like, don't you want to be excited about your life? Don't you want to feel good about your decisions and concrete? Like, I know why I'm vegan, and I'm not going to get mad at you if you argue with me about it. I might not talk to you as much, but like I know why I'm doing this, and I'm not ashamed.
All right, so that is going to be it for today's episode. I hope you guys found this topic interesting and related to it somewhat. So leave a comment down below and let us know your favorite animal to Google. Maybe one that we haven't heard of before. I would love to see what you guys come up with.
Subscribe. Our Facebook group is below. We will see you guys in a video next week.
Bye.